Hello friends, welcome to another session of Anand's Math Classroom. Today we will take a look at solving the word problems that deal with ratios. And specifically I have taken those word problems that involve determining ages of person or persons. So friends, what basically is ratio? Ratio is nothing but the relative representation of two numbers or weights or ages in relative terms. So that is actually known as ratio. Let us actually look at an example problem. Bill and Sam are two people and their ages are in the ratio 2:3. 6 years later, their ratio of the ages are 3:4. What are their current ages? So friends, let us actually, before getting to solve the problem, let's underline the key pieces of information that are available in this problem. We know that there are two people, Bill and Sam, and their ratios are in the order of 2:3. And 6 years later, their ratios turn into 3:4. Now let us actually look at how to solve this problem. So there are two people, Bill and Sam, and the ratio of their ages are 2:3. So friends, what this basically means is, if Bill is 2 years old, Sam would be 3. If you can multiply any number. For example, if you multiply this by 2, you have to multiply this also by 2. So what it means is, if Bill is 4, Sam would be 6. Okay, take another number. For example, when you multiply 2 by 3, this will yield 6 and this will yield 9. So if Bill is 6, Sam is 9. So what we can assume is, we can actually multiply a factor x 2 times x, which will give us 2x. And we can multiply the same factor x here, 3 times x, which will be equal to 3x. So friends, what we are basically telling is, if Bill's age is going to be 2x, Sam's age is always going to be 3x. That is what we can understand from the terms that we have written. So the current ages are 2x and 3x, friends. That is what this means. Now let us actually look at the second piece of information that has been given in the problem. 6 years later, their ratio of ages are 3:4. So friends, what happens 6 years later? Bill is going to grow older by 6 years and Sam is also going to grow older by 6 years. So 6 years later, what happens is, Bill will be B plus 6. That is, I have added 6 years to his age. So Bill will be B plus 6 and Sam will be S plus 6. So what this means, friends, is it should not be equal to. So 6 years later, Bill's age will be B plus 6 and Sam's age will be S plus 6. Now, the information that we have been given in the problem is, 6 years later, the ratio of ages are 3:4. So 6 years later, this is how the ratio looks like, friends. B plus 6 by S plus 6 will be equal to this term, 3:4. Okay. So 6 years later, the ratios of Bill to Sam's age are 3:4. Now, let us actually substitute the values of B and S. B, we have determined it to be 2x here, and Sam, we have determined it to be 3x here. So let's substitute the values. The value of B here is 2x plus 6 divided by S is nothing but 3x plus 6. This will be equal to 3 by 4. So friends, how do we do this equation? Let me write it here. 2x plus 6 by 3x plus 6 is equal to 3 by 4. So friends, when you are given an equation like this, you basically cross multiply to determine the left hand side and right hand side. So 4 goes here. So 4 times 2x plus 6 will be equal to 3 times 3x plus 6. So friends, what this yields? 4 times 2x is nothing but 8x. 4 times 6 is nothing but 24. Will be equal to 3 times 3x will be 9x. 3 times 6 will be 18. So here what do we do, friends? The usual technique wherein we put the variables on one side and numbers on another side. So this will be 8x minus 9x will be equal to 18 minus 24. This is minus x, which will be equal to minus 6. Minus on both sides, so we make it positive. So x is equal to 6. So what we know is, we got the value of x to be 6. So friends, we had initially determined that Bill's age is 2x and Sam's age is 3x. So Bill's age is 2x. So how do we do this, friends? Bill is 2 times and we have got the value of x, which is 6. So Bill will be 12 years and Sam will be 3x, which is 3 times 6, which is equal to 18 years. So friends, these are the ages of Bill and Sam. Thank you. Friends, I've given a lot of these practice problems on my Instagram page. Please do go and check it out. Now let us actually look at the second problem. Tapan and Manas are two friends and the ratio of their ages is 5:6. If you subtract 1 year from Tapan's age, their ratio becomes 4:5. What are their current ages? Now let us see how we can do this problem. So we know that Tapan's age to Manas' age is 5:6. That is Tapan by Manas is 5/6. So we can assume that the ratio of the actual ages would be 5x by 6x. This is because we are multiplying by the same factor, so we'll get their actual ages. So Tapan is 5x years old and Manas is 6x years old. Now let us look at the problem. If you subtract 1 year from Tapan's age, their ratio becomes 4:5. So friends, what is Tapan's age now? Tapan's age is here, which is 5x. Okay. So what this is, if you subtract 1 year from Tapan's age, when you subtract 1 year, when 1 year is subtracted, what this means is from 5x you subtract 1 year. So friends, let me actually explain this again. If you read the second statement, if you subtract 1 year from Tapan's age we know as 5x. How do we know this? Because we have derived it here. Tapan's age is 5x. If you subtract 1 year from Tapan's age, which is 5x minus 1. So I've subtracted 1 year from Tapan's age, which is 5x minus 1. The ratio becomes 4:5. So friends, how do you do this one? So now we have determined Tapan's new age when we subtract 1 year. So this is 5x minus 1. Now let's actually look at the third part of the problem. If you subtract 1 year from Tapan's age, their ratio becomes 4:5. So 5x minus 1 by Manas' age, 6x. So when you subtract 1 year from Tapan's age and compute the ratios, it becomes 4:5. So friends, how do you do this? The same method. Multiply 5 here, 5x minus 1 will be equal to 4 times 6x. So 5 times 5x is 25x, minus 5 will be equal to 24x. And as I've been saying, in where variables and numbers are involved, put the variables on one side and numbers on another side. So 25x minus 24x will be equal to 5. So x is equal to 5. So we've got a value of x as 5, friends. And we know that Tapan's age is 5x, which is nothing but 5 times 5, which is equal to 25 years. And Manas's age is 6x, which is 6 times 5, which is 30 years. This is how we do the problem, friends. We read the problem first. Ron and Sam are two people whose ages are in the ratio of 4:5. If Sam is 35, how old is Ron? So friends, as usual, let us actually start by identifying the key pieces of information in this problem. Ron and Sam are two people whose ages are in the ratio 4:5, and we have got Sam's age. And what is being asked is Ron's age. So what we know, friends, is we know two friends, Ron and Sam, whose ages are in the ratio 4:5. So friends, what this ratio basically means is, like, it is a relative term. If Sam is going to be 5 years old, Ron is going to be 4 years old. And you can multiply this by any common factor. For example, take multiply this by 2. So the ratio is going to be 8:10. So which means that if Sam is 10 years old, Ron is going to be 8 years old. And since we do not know what this common factor is, which will lead us to the actual ages of the two people, let us actually assume a factor of x, like 4 times x and 5 times x. This will actually give the ratio, the actual ages of Ron and Sam as 4x and 5x. So these are the actual ages of Ron and Sam. Now, in the second part of the problem, what we know is Sam is 35 years old. Sam is 35. This is a piece of information that we have got. And here we know that Sam is 5x when we represent this in form of variables. So let's actually substitute s by variable, which is 5x equal to 35. And x will lead to 35 divided by 5. So x will be equal to 7. So we have determined x has to be 7. And we know that Ron is 4x, which is 4 times value of x, which is 7. So Ron is 28 years old. So this is how we do the problem, friends.